Teotha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhi Swaha Tyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati 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 Bodhi Swaha. Okay, the last session we left at the point. Say the five ever-present mental factors. Five ever-present mental factors. What are these five? Contact, attention, discrimination, feeling, intention. Okay, so and the karma is what? Intention. The fifth one is the karma, intention. Okay, with this in mind, we were talking about how finally what is in our hand, intention, karma, all these say negative, the expressions of the physical, verbal, they're all happening because of this intention. Intention decides. That's for sure. Now the point is that, okay, just for information, that I think last year there was one very prominent scholar, author, essayist, and he was the awardee of the very numerous national awards for being the erudite scholar and author. And one very prominent institute organized a talk by him. And the institute requested me to be the chairperson. So I was chairing the session and he gave the talk on his own book. Then the talk was for about like 1 hour. And the whole talk finally summarized into this point. He said that finally what we are seeking is happiness. And the happiness can be achieved only if you have communion with the ultimate. What ultimate? That is his, what he's referring to. That's a different matter. So this is what he said. So finally, we can have the ultimate happiness. We can have the maximum happiness only if we have communion with the ultimate. This is how he concluded. Then this is where the complications are. So we always, the parents, they tell be good, study well, be good. And oftentimes they don't tell you how to be good, how to study well. They don't tell you. Study well, right? In fact, this reminds me of my sister and my niece, my sister's daughter. No, it was my auntie and my auntie's son when they were when the children they were very young. So my auntie, not illiterate, and my other was insisting the children that you study well, study well. children, they know that their mother is not literate. So they will say, give the book to the mother and say, please, I don't know how to study, teach me. Right? So this is a problem. We say, do good. And these, okay. Okay, this is what we often say, but we don't give them how. We don't say give them the direction how to do that. So for that matter, say then after the talk, 1 hour talk by this the great author, then it is like taking into something blind area. Then you're thrown there into the ocean. You're thrown there. Okay, finally, you should have the ultimate happiness. You'll get the maximum happiness only if you have communion with the ultimate. That's it. Then I have 10 minutes after his talk to comment on his talk, and I said that okay, the first book is on. They say yes, to know that we need to have communion with the ultimate, to be happy. But the second book should be on how to have communion with the ultimate. This should be the second book. This is what is lacking. Now, the point is, let's say that we are talking about these 5 points. What we are seeking is happiness. We don't seek miseries, and all these miseries they come into being because of this, the mischievous actions, physical, verbal, and mental actions, which we call as karmas. So these karmas are responsible immediately they are responsible for the creating disharmony in the community, and in the long run your own suffering in the future. For example, sickness, of course the aging is all karmic, aging, death, and then in the family there's always conflicts in the family, disharmonious family. It's all because of creating disharmony in others in the former lifetimes. So what we did in the former lifetimes, they will then ripen upon us. So long term, short term or the immediate, we see that there's total disharmony within the family and within the community, within the nations, international. All these problems happen because of these, say, physical, verbal, and mental, the negativities. Okay. So then next question is, we have to see how to stop these negativities. Stop these physical, verbal, and mental negativities. How to stop this question. So for that matter, yes, we have to stop, but how? And in most of the religious systems, that you have to stop it, because if you don't stop it, it's against the Buddha's teachings, it is against God's will, it is against this, and so forth. That's it. And how? It is not taught. So now the point is that as long as we don't know how, either you have to be ruled by the fear that if you don't do this, then it's against God's will, it's against the Buddha's will, so therefore you'll be punished. So it's the rule of the fear, the rule of the fear. Whereas if you know how the mind works, the mechanism, how all these the problems arise because of this actions, and how to stop the destructive actions by knowing the psychology, by knowing the philosophy, then it becomes so easy for us. So this is the beauty and the strength of the Buddha's teachings, and particularly the teachings which came from the Nalanda tradition, Nalanda Monastery University. First, this genre of the teachings went to China in the 1st century, 2nd century AD. Then in 7th century, it went to Tibet, particularly in 7th century. In the 8th century, it went to Tibet so effectively there. And then from there, now, what we inherit from the Chinese tradition as well as the Tibetan traditions is from the Nalanda. So this system, the Nalanda system of the psychology and philosophy, this is so precious, and for our own lives we can use them so from a very secular perspective. We can use them, and then your own friends in your workplace, your family members, your friends, people, they just observe their actions and you can greatly help them in from the very secular point of view, without including Buddhism, Buddha, and so forth. Still, you can benefit others in a great deal. So now the question is, these 5, the ever-present mental factors. From this, what we learned thus far is that all these actions are determined by the intention. Intention itself is the action, and the manifest actions, physical and verbal aggressions, and the gestures, they all come from the intention. And the intention is determined by the feelings. Okay, oftentimes, believe it or not, oftentimes people who commit suicide. So committing suicide is an action. Do you agree with me or not? Committing suicide is an action. So this action is taking place, this actual intention to commit suicide. This is because of from what we learned, unpleasant feeling. You're getting it? So those who are committing, for example, say somebody gives you a chocolate and chocolate is taken away. Given to you, and the person takes away, and you become unhappy, you commit suicide. No. Just because unhappiness of somebody taking away the chocolate from you does not make you commit suicide. Commit suicide means unpleasant feeling is so intense, unbearable. You're getting it? Intense and unbearable, overwhelming. So many people, they don't understand this because they don't have the experience of what is this acute unpleasant feeling is. They don't have this experience. When somebody commits suicide, oh, what is this? Just, totally nonsense, totally unwise, stupid. No, this is not that easy. If the same unpleasant feeling arises in any one of us, we are bound to commit suicide. So, then does it happen even to the great saints? If this degree of the unpleasant feeling happens, if this degree of unpleasant, unbearable feeling, overwhelming feeling of the excruciating feeling of pain arises, even in the saints, they will also commit suicide. But why the saints don't commit suicide is because that they control all these emotions way ahead of time. This unpleasant feeling is stopped from way ahead with the thought processes by changing the discrimination. You're getting it? They change the discrimination, then the unpleasant feeling is replaced by pleasant feeling. You're getting it? So this is what is meant by, they say, the evolved beings or the saints and the practitioners. So where for normal people, ordinary people, unpleasant feeling arises, for the practitioners, the real mark of the practitioners is that what otherwise triggers unpleasant feeling in somebody triggers pleasant feeling. For example, let's say, what happened was that, there's a couple, and somebody who was some sort of friend. This friend, so two of them were seeking his help to fix one aircon. And the friend took away the aircon. And the aircon disappeared, which means stolen. The friend who promised to help, he took away the aircon and he disappeared, and the aircon also disappeared. Okay, if you are the owner of the aircon, are you happy or unhappy? Very unhappy, right? So the couple felt so happy that the aircon disappeared. You know why? Because the wife asked the wife is expecting that the husband must be very angry, and told the husband that so bad that he's told he's a friend, and now the friend has betrayed us, has stolen this. Husband said, I'm very happy today. And the wife said, why? So lucky that he did not steal our house. He only stole the acorn and left. He did not steal our house. It's amazing, so good. Right? So look, so the moment he felt that, oh, the aircon is this discrimination. Oh, the aircon is stolen, but the house is not stolen. You're getting it? House is not stolen. What's the feeling? That aircon is like $6, what? 3,000. And house is like 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. Let's say 300,000. You lost 3,000. And say the 300,000 is not lost. Then what feeling comes to you? Pleasant feelings come to you. So you said, I will be unhappy. Whereas this gentleman, pleasant feeling came in him. So the intention to fight, intention to, to track him, and then because of this intention to track him, his mind will be very busy, which means he will not have sleep, proper sleep. Then he will not be able to eat well. Then his body health will go down, right? And then he has to go to hospital. Hospital bill is so high, higher than aircon, right? If you think very sensibly, we realize that if you're able to change the discrimination, mental factor of discrimination, then the corresponding feeling will be changed, and the feeling is very pleasant. For example, say you go through somehow depression all the time, depression. Suddenly somebody has stolen the aircon, you can go deeper into depression. Instead, if your thinking changes, discrimination changes, that you're so lucky, right, that your house is intact. Otherwise, this person, same person, still say aircon plus the house from all other people. You are lucky that your house is intact. Then the person will say, wow, it's very lucky, right? So the person will be uplifted from the depression. So the point is that when you're thinking, when your discrimination changes, the feeling changes. When the feeling changes, then they say the intention to harm, all this thing stops. With this, you get the benefit. Your health comes back. Your health doesn't suffer. Your health is the most important thing, more important than your house, all these things. Your health is number one important thing. This is so important. We should not compromise our health for house, for food, for cars, and these things. No, your health is so important. Okay. So then the question is, we're talking about, let's say the person, difficult person. Now let's say, suddenly you meet with say it's your birthday, you're very happy since morning. So you come to work, and suddenly you meet with suddenly there's this surprise meeting with the difficult person. Come contact with the person, contact. Then what happens? Is this the person? Yes. Contact, attention, then yes, this is a difficult person, very difficult person, complicated person. Then what happens? Unpleasant feeling arises. But this unpleasant feeling arises, then what happened? Then the wanting to, say, run away, or wanting to just hurt this person comes. And that feeling, want to run away or want to hurt other person, that feeling is very unpleasant within you. This is one which consumes your immune system. That feeling, wanting to hurt others, then you feel hurt, you want to hurt others, both consumes your immune system. The moment immune system is gone, your health will go down. Okay, now what do you do? So, final feeling is the one which determined you to feel this the intention to either hurt the other person or run away. So we see how we can change the feeling. So to change the feeling, changing the feeling is determined by discrimination. Which discrimination? The difficult person. You get difficult person. Okay, so how to change this discrimination? This is the point. This is so important. If possible, I'm giving you some clues, and then our job is actually go out and then see if you can apply this. Apply this, and little clue that I give you, on that basis you try and extend it, extrapolate it, and extend it to other things. Okay, let's say this person. Okay, one example that I give usually is that, say usually is, these are the examples, but we have to take it very seriously. Okay, just for information, I would relate something else. Okay, most likely I've shared this story here in one of the earlier days. There was a couple and 4 children. 4 children. And the children, they're very young and create all the problems, pull this, then made everything so messy, dirty. And the father was so upset. So the father, then he went to see a teacher, hermitage teacher, and requested teacher, please bless me, that my mind is more peaceful. At home it's very chaotic. I'm not getting any peace. And the teacher said, okay, are you serious? You want peace? And he said, yes. Okay, if you want peace, what you do is to do one thing. You buy one goat, pet goat, animal goat, as a pet. And he thought that this must be some miracle. So he went to buy a goat. He was so excited. Bought the goat and kept it at home. It should be like a pet, not just the cattle. It should be a pet. Then he thought that maybe tomorrow I'll have a peace. Then tomorrow it became chaotic. Now the 4 children, not only they are fighting amongst themselves, they are fighting with the goat. Making the goat just, what is the sound made by the goat? Meh. Right? They made the goat cry here and there, and the goat droppings everywhere. He was almost going crazy. Then he went to the teacher and complained, sir, I asked for peace. I did not ask for this. It becomes so worse. And the teacher said, you asked for peace? He said, yes. Are you sure? You want to do everything I suggest? He said, yes, sir. He said, now buy chicken. Buy chicken as your, again, a pet. No, it's going to create more chaos. No, do what I asked you to do. So he went, bought a chicken. Maybe this is some kind of miracle. Bought a chicken. Then it became even more chaotic. He's literally becoming crazy. He became so angry, he went to the teacher and said that he started fighting with the teacher, complaining to the teacher. Now, what have you done? You have just thrown me into hell now. The teacher said, what did I do? You asked me to give me peace, and I asked you to keep these 2 pets. You don't get peace? He said, no, now I'm in hell. And the teacher said, okay, never mind. Release the chicken. He went, release the chicken. Wow. Now, all this chicken, was the chicken cries? Huh? All the chicken making, these children chasing the chicken droppings, all stopped. Things are so clean, so peaceful. Now the children, they are not, they're fighting, they're going after the chicken. He was getting so much of peace. He was so happy that finally I'm getting peace. Then he went to the teacher, thank you so much. Now I'm finding peace. The teacher said, I see. Okay, now release the goat. Then he released the goat. Wow, this is a paradise. Amazing. So clean. Amazing. He went there to the teacher, made prostrations. Thank you so much. Now I find such a peace. Teacher said, no, this peace existed. The day when you came to me, this peace existed. You did not realize the existence of this peace. Your mind is always thinking about these 4 children making, being noisy and so forth. This is what you're looking at. You're not looking at how the chicken is not creating problem here, how the goat is not creating problem here. This is not what you are seeing. You're only seeing one side. You're not seeing the holistic picture. This peace that you experience now is existed since the time, the day when you came to me. It is there. I did not create any peace. It was there with you. You did not realize it. So likewise, this person, right, every day, okay, always keeping you aside, always going with, other people, creating like a group. You're always isolated. You feel isolated, right? Okay, this person is so nasty, so unkind. so unkind. Okay, so there, if you think very carefully, very positively, so this person is taking everybody on one side and you are left aside. Okay, you get time. You get time to read books. You get time to reflect on karma. You get time, you get ample of time, right? And you can think about your family, the problems, how to solve the problem. The transmitter Geshe put on the other side. This one? Other side meaning this side. When you move the context loose and then it will lose the sound. Yeah, try. Okay. Okay. So so that way we see that we need a lot of time for ourselves. And then if somebody practices dharma, you get time for your meditation. You can reflect on things when you're free, right? Whereas if you're always this person who splits people means the person is not really a good person. Not good person, you try to be with this person, the person will only harass you all the time, talk nonsense all the time. Your mind will be filled with garbage. This person is doing like this person is doing this is the only thing that they're discussing. So that person is so kind that you are, taken away from bad habits. So kind, right? Whereas if you're with this person, what do you get? You get only garbage, because this person will never talk anything good. Okay, this person is not good. That person is not. This is so nasty. Only this kind of the bad comments on being very judgmental. So these bad habits, they are actually infusing, say, bad imprints on the mind. So you are free from that. If you think very positively, oh, I'm so lucky that I'm not a part of this. So this who is responsible that you are not part of this, the bad habits, because of this person. So this person, instead of being nasty, you should be feeling grateful, right? So this is how we can change the discrimination. The moment you change wow, it's so lucky. My teacher always advised me, don't waste your time, don't talk badly about other people and so forth. Now this person is giving the opportunity not to talk bad thing about other people. Not waste time. I'm so grateful to this person. You're getting it? So this is how we change the discrimination. The moment we say that, okay, I'm so lucky. When you feel I'm lucky, pleasant feeling comes to you, unpleasant feeling comes to you. Pleasant feeling comes to you. With a pleasant feeling coming to you, then the intention becomes very positive. Intention becomes very positive. You will not feel like hurting the other person. And when you don't hurt the other person, right, other person will be very fascinated to say that I'm trying to isolate him or her, but he or she, feels so happy, more happy to be away from us, right? So the person will be amazed by you, and if your spiritual realization or spiritual understanding is very good, then the person can even surrender to you. The moment the person surrenders to you, then the person will, why the person surrenders to you? Because the person will think of learning from you. So this way, then you can help others. This is how the bodhisattvas, they can help others through taking the situation. Otherwise, it can be very destructive. By changing the discrimination, the feeling changes, and the other person is amazed by your way of looking at things. And this is how you can help beings. So it's oftentimes what can be done. This is a very important point. Okay. So with this, the changing the discrimination so that the feeling is changed. When the feeling becomes pleasant, then the wanting to hurt others, wanting to hurt yourself, these things will not happen. Then automatically all your actions is going to be virtuous, positive actions. Okay, this is so important. It's so important. And see how in our day-to-day life, so in our life, just raise hands, those who have sometimes feel lonely, sometimes feel dejected, sometimes feel for no reason sadness. In this year, it happened at least once. Raise your hands. Okay, so those who did not raise hands, it did not happen. Okay, once for sure it happened, right? For no reason. For no reason, such things can happen. Okay, this is one thing that we need to keep in mind, right? And if you have more questions, very complicated, sensitive, the examples where you cannot possibly change the discrimination, therefore the feeling cannot be changed, therefore the intention of hurting others, these things cannot be reverted. Okay, feel free to give me examples during the question answer session. Okay, one thing. The next thing that I'd like to share with you, which is very important pertaining to the karma, is the taxonomy of karma. Taxonomy of karma meaning the classification. Classification of karma. Huh?
Big word.
No, it's classification. Yeah, taxonomy. Yeah, you have to know. Right? Okay, taxonomy or the classification. Classification of karma, this is, we have to know. Okay. Before this, the basic principle of the karma, which is the universal truth, is that the karma, two basic principles. For example, say one will not experience the result of the karma. One will not experience the result of the karma which one has not accumulated. One will not experience the result of the karma which one has not accumulated. Number one. Number two, karma once accumulated by yourself, the result is inevitable. Karma once accumulated, the result is inevitable. Okay, these are the two basic principles. What's the first one? One will not experience the result of the karma which one has not accumulated. Okay. Which means that if you experience a result of pain or happiness or whatever, no doubt it is because of the accumulation of previous karma by yourself, a karma which yourself did once upon a time. Okay, so the second one says what? Karma once accumulated, the results are inevitable. Results are inevitable. Meaning that karma once accumulated, result will inevitably ripen. Okay, the second one, keep this in mind. Second one, then does it mean that there's no way for purification? There's no way for purification? This is the question. So the answer is that this is a basic principle in a, say, like a principle. Then the thing is that this karma, why this karma is going to ripen the result inevitably, why this is going to result, meaning that this karma, as long as it retains its power, as long as this karma retains its power, it will inevitably give rise to the result. Whereas before it ripens, if you're able to make this karma powerless, if it make this power karmaless, if it is negative karma, by purification processes. If it is positive karma, by the arising of anger. With anger, your positive karma can be destroyed. Your positive karma can be weakened because of the anger. Likewise, wrong view. Wrong view meaning disbelieving in the law of karma, and anger, these two can destroy your virtues. And for the negative karmas, what can destroy the negative karmas? Very effectively, of course, any virtue can destroy the negative karmas, but particularly the purification practice of the four powers. So these these practices will help us to weaken the negative karmas. Okay, so purification practice, we will do it tomorrow. So the point is that the karmas, once accumulated, if you don't de-intensify the karma or purify the karma, the result is bound to be experienced. From this, what we need to keep in mind is that, okay, anything bad happens to us. For example, say some illness, or say you do something good all the time and bad things happen to you all the time. Say people robbing you, or your house broken, somebody breaking in your house, and the accidents, bad things happening to, and then the meeting with people who are not so good. So these, no doubt, your previous karmas are responsible for that. Your previous karmas responsible. Now, in our life, we must have noticed two kinds of people. One, when it comes to the problems, sickness, and the tragedies. When one confronts with these tragedies, one after the other, and then these tragedies are because of one's own karma. And then this karma, why I didn't do it? I didn't do the karma, previous lives. And then the person becomes so averse to the concept of karma and will then go away from dharma. There's one person, one kind of person, then who lose faith in dharma. One. Another person, the moment the more tragedies happen to the person, the faith in dharma gets reinforced. Faith in dharma gets reinforced, and then the same going to like a full-fledged dharma practitioner will turn into dharma. Okay, of the two, generally speaking, with many factors intact, one thing what we can keep in mind is that when you see somebody going deeper into the dharma practice because of being confronted with the many tragedies, that person is a very, very meritorious person. Meritorious person will, when confronted with the tragedies, will turn towards dharma even more. Non-meritorious people, even though they have a tremendous faith in dharma, then when the tragedies strike the person, then the person will turn away from dharma. This is an indication of lack of merit. Okay, but with our skills, if you're knowing all these realities well, if you're very skillful, you can make sure that this person, although tilting away from dharma, with your skillfulness, you can again turn the person back to dharma very skillfully. That requires a tremendous skill. Whereas for some, you don't need that skill. Just the more the tragedy is before the person will turn towards dharma, which means that this person is very meritorious. Okay, now for us, what is very important is that when tragedies strike us and the way our mind turns away from dharma, it's very dangerous. Finally, whether we like it or not, the reality is that if you really want to get out of samsara altogether, the fears, for example, let's say, which is better, that there's somebody who's giving you food, who is generous to give you food every day. Or another scenario where the person teaches you the skill to get food. Which is better? The first one or second one? No, the first one, you don't have to work anymore. You don't have to work. The first one, you have to work. Which is better, first or second? Huh? Second. Why second? Huh? Because the first person, the first case, the first person, although being very generous, the first person has his own family, or even the first person may die, then you're handicapped. Whereas if you get a skill, as long as you are there, your skill is there, right? So there's self-help. which is so precious, which is so precious. Likewise, the point is that now, while we are still healthy, while we still have a faith in dharma, so there it's very important to see how to accumulate merit more, so that in the future lifetimes, that we are bound to encounter with tragedies, and then our mind will not turn away from dharma. This is because if you turn away from dharma, dharma is the only way which can potentially take you away from suffering altogether, which can give you a lasting fearlessness. For example, say it is like giving you the skill. The dharma is the one which gives you the skill, so that you will never have to worry about your food. Whereas, say the immediate, without the dharma, you become happy, sometimes not happy, sometimes you become happy sometimes. That is like somebody giving you food day by day. It's very unreliable. So therefore, it is so important for us in this life, while we're still very healthy and so forth, to accumulate as much merit. And even while accumulating merit, should it be the case that tragedies befall on you, that your mind must be directed deeper into dharma rather than, say, the going away from dharma. Okay, this must be thought of in advance. This is so important. Okay. Now, with this, the question is that what classifications? What are the classifications of the karma? Okay, the one classification, there are so many classifications, ways of classifying karma, one of which is known as the karma in the form of whose results are concomitant. Whose results are concomitant with the cause or the karma, which means the karma and the results which the karma is going to give, that result is going to be similar to the karma that one accumulates. So karma whose results are concomitant. Concomitant meaning similar. Concomitant with the karmas. Okay, this is one kind of the ripening effect of karma, and this karma, here we need to keep in mind, say the karma whose the effects are concomitant, are similar with the karma. In what way similar? Two ways. One is in terms of the experience. Karma whose effects are concomitant with the karma pertaining to the experience. And number two is the karma whose effects are concomitant with the karma pertaining to the habits. Pertaining to the experience, similar, the karma and the effect, these two are similar in experience and in the habit. What is the similarity in the experience? Say, for example, let's say that these are something that we need to keep in mind. Okay, we tend to become angry and unnecessarily make the other person sad. Like, say, okay, for example, let's say say husband and wife, or children and parents, and say, okay, who said it? Somebody said it, I think in Israel. Say the parents, okay, they become old, and the children, they're already very self-sufficient, strong, and very competent. So the love is there, but then because that you physically you are very capable, your body is very agile, and your mind is also very fresh, and then you expect the same thing from your mother or from your father. Physically they become a little, slow, and mentally also they become a little rigid in their thinking. And then when they cannot do the way, say for example, the mobile, using WhatsApp, right? Using WhatsApp. And then, that's interesting. I think this year, one gentleman who I think is in his late 60s, he said that, just imagine what would be his son, what would be his son's reaction towards the father, right? He told me so innocently that I said that, okay, the voice and the mantras, these things, I can send you through WhatsApp. He said that, no. I did send him once. He said, no, I did not receive. He thought that the sound will come out, right? He said that, I didn't receive it. Yes, I did send it to you. He said, I didn't receive it. Then I took for granted that he didn't receive it. And then gradually what he said is that when you send something, when you send a message, there is something figure there. What is this? He said, it was actually the voice. He did not figure out that this is for the voice. He did not figure out this. Now imagine that the youngsters, they know all these things so well, beyond. They know all these things so well. So if they teach the parents, and the parents, they cannot do as the children expect, then the children will no doubt shout at the parents. No doubt will shout at the parents. So we should be very sensitive. We should not expect that the parents are as competent as you are. But the parents, they were young. They were competent in their own ways. Now, physically they slow down, and then mentally, also they don't have the capacity now to learn many new things as you did. So this is where we should be very careful. And then instead, we shout. When you shout, what happens? What happens? The parents feel sad, right? And shout for what? Over a very small thing. And when you grow old, your children, they will come with the more sophisticated computer system, and they will shout at you because you cannot operate, right? We don't think that. We just think of just today. Somebody who cannot think beyond what is today, they are known as childish. Somebody who can think, okay, just the way I feel, that is very difficult to teach my parents. Later on, my children will also find the same difficulty teaching me like this. If you think like this, you will start empathizing with your parents. Empathizing with the parents, and then you will feel exceptionally being kind towards the parents. Very considerate. Okay, now the point is that, whereas if you shout, instantly the parents will, your parents, your mother, your father, they will freeze. They'll freeze. Mentally they'll freeze. Just imagine. If an outsider person makes your parents freeze, what is your reaction? You'll feel very angry towards that person. And you're making it today. You're making your parents, someone who loves you so much, to freeze. That is incredible negative karma. That karma you accumulated now, in fact, that you're going to experience in the future. That's going to be concomitant with experience. You also have to go through this experience of being freezed in the future. One, this is so... Do you like somebody to freeze your mind? Do you like somebody to freeze your mind into fear? Do you like that? No, this is a very acutely painful experience. I personally nowadays, when I see somebody feels freeze, whether I know the person or don't know the person, I just feel freeze myself. I don't want to go through the experience. This is so painful, even to see somebody going through this, experience. This is so bad. When you are in the ensnarement of the anger, you don't see that. You love your parents so much. You love. But in the midst of this anger, you don't see the pain of your parents when they go through this, feeling being freeze. So this is where we should be a little mindful. Okay, what I'm doing now, so this I'm accumulating karma, whose effects are concomitant with the karma that I'm accumulating pertaining to experience, where in the future times, I will have to go through the same experience of being freezed in fear. right? And can be multiplied because it's happening, you're creating this on your parents. Karma, with the classifications, with the detailed explanation of karma, say the lightness and the heaviness of the karma. Lightness and the heaviness karma. Same action that you do towards your parents and the same action that you do towards the unknown person and your parents, there's a stark difference. With the parents is much, 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 much heavier. This is what the Buddha said. Parents, it's much, much heavier. So therefore, we should be exceptionally be mindful if the unit of the pain that your parents go through because of your, say, the shouting at the parents and letting them freeze. If this is what you're making, if the unit is one, experience that you're going to go through can be like 100 times that. Because object, the person to whom you're creating, is somebody who has been exceptionally kind to you. Okay, so with this, we should be extremely careful. So that karma. And so likewise, even to anybody else, even to some tiny insects, we should not ignore that, oh, this is just a tiny insect. It's fine. Okay, I have no time. I have to rush. Yeah? Sometimes a joke is not really joke, it's half true. Say the Tibet house, we have class on bodhicitta. Let's say we're having class on bodhicitta. And the people who attend the bodhicitta class, say they have to rush from their house to Tibet house, which may take sometimes like 30 minutes, sometimes like 40 minutes. And then they feel that, oh, I'm going to get late. So they go to the sink to wash their hands and they see that there are lots of ants or insects there. And then if I wait till all they moved, then I'm going to be late for the bodhicitta class. Right? So you just turn on the tap and you wash hands, right? I'm very sorry. Why? Because I'm missing the bodhicitta class. What is bodhicitta class for? What's the bodhicitta class for? Bodhicitta class is to teach us how to practice bodhicitta. This is bodhicitta in action, and you are just ignoring this. And you are attending the class is more important. Class is more important, action is more important. Action is more important. So this way we are going wrong. So we should not ignore, we should not neglect, even with the small actions of expressing compassion, not really injure others. Injure others physically and mentally. Mental injuring is extremely painful and the accumulation merit is terrible. Okay, this one. Then number 2, the karma whose actions are concomitant with the karma pertaining to the habits. Okay, this is very important. Okay, let's say that some people somehow, therefore, say how they talk, how body gesture, how they talk, physical and verbal, is very appealing. And some very rough, right? Even while talking, the sensitivity is not there. So for example, say 2 people from the same school comes, 2 students from the same school comes to you, and this particular school made a performance the day before, and the performance was so well, and particularly there was one person, and the person who was doing exceptionally good, and others also doing very good. So 2 of them came, and then you praise the person A, student A, saying that you are the best, without you, then the whole performance is not happening. What about the second person who's sitting next there? You're anyway saying that the second person is bad. Right? We are not at all being sensitive to these things. We should be so sensitive not to injure the feelings of others. So, if you're not sensitive to these things, then what happens is that we build a very bad habit of not respecting, of not being sensitized to the feelings of others. So one of the greatest practices of the Bodhisattvas is to safeguard the sentiments of others, not to injure others, not to injure others' feelings. This is one of the greatest practices of the Bodhisattvas. not to injure the feelings of others. So, intentionally, if you hurt the others' feelings, finish. Even unintentionally, there's a tendency to injure others' feelings. So then we should be extremely careful to make sure that we don't build these habits. The moment you do any action to hurt somebody else, or you do something good action, bad action, in both cases, there's a karma. This karma, you accumulate, in the process you accumulate karma, where the effects that you're going to experience in the future is going to be of the same nature as what you're doing, pertaining to pertaining to the action, the habit. Say, in this life, if you save the life of somebody else, if you save the life of the insect, or say if somebody's a little sad, and then you try to comfort the person, you try to console the person, and then you give some company, you talk nicely, console person. So there you are accumulating a karma whose effect in the future, the same karma has multiple effects. One effect which is concomitant with the karma pertaining to the experience. So because you consoled, in future lifetimes you also will go through, in future, even this life, next life, you can also go through these tragedies. Under such situation, somehow people will come to console you. Somehow your problems will be removed and your mind will be uplifted. Somehow somebody, even strangers can come. This is very, extremely efficacious. Sometimes you think that you are alone and a stranger passes by, a stranger senses you, and then whole your life changes. These things happen. So therefore, these are all the effects of the previous karma pertaining to the experience. Then pertaining habit, because you do this next life since childhood, says somebody, even as a very young child, somebody is sad, you just go there. You already have the habit because you have cultivated this karma, whose effect is concomitant with the karma pertaining to the habit. So you build this habit. Habit was very strong. Next life this is how we grow. Gate, para samgate, bora. So when you say that, what is really happening is that we are building this habit of doing good things, and then intensifying this habit, making this habit more and more of greater quality. This is how we proceed along the journey, become more and more refined. This is what happens. Okay, so for example, the practice of compassion, practice wisdom, emptiness, so forth. So some children at very early age, okay, did you notice that? Some children, they at an early age, like 2, 3, you give some chocolates, the child will distribute this to other children. And many, what they do, they say the other children there, you give 10 chocolates to this young child, and you say, distribute. Hey, this is not only for you, distribute to your brothers and sisters. We'll keep everything. This habit came from where? From past life. Because accumulated previous karma, whose effects are concomitant with the action pertaining to the habit of possessing yourself and ignoring others. This habit built. For example, the one thing which some of you might have seen, that how the habit is being carried to the next lives. This is very dangerous. So with the virtues, this is so hopeful that we can get out of samsara altogether. Whereas with the bad habits, very dangerous. Sometimes, right, when we are trapped in a bad habit and you know that this bad habit, and you want to come out, you cannot come out. Did it ever happen to you? Huh? Yes, no? Yes. Okay. Once there was a clip, the video clip, and it shows that one toddler, very young toddler, age about, I think like 2.5 or 3. This young toddler, he was in the baby chair. And the mother gave him some noodles. And the child looks at the noodle and then pushed it back. Then the mother gave something else, another one. Then looked at it and pushed it back. 3 or 4 times pushed it back all the time. Then the mother brought, what is this? The glass, the wine glass. One glass with the wine and put it in front of him. He looked at it, he was so happy. So happy, he started to smile, he's so happy. He's not a toddler, 100%. Very likely alcoholic from past life. Yeah, with the new body, habit is the same habit. Noodles, no, get out. Alcohol, so happy. Habit brought from the past life. It's not a toddler, guaranteed not a toddler. Yeah, so this old men or old women in the toddler's body. Right? This is what happens. Now with the good things. This is the bad habit. The good habits, say like the great saint, the Ulju Thome Sambo, Geshe Ulju Thome Sambo. He was very young. At very young age, like age for his uncle was, taking him from one place to another. And suddenly there was a wind blowing. With the wind blowing, then what happens? The leaves have been blown into the air. And the child looks up in the sky and starts to cry. And the uncle knows that this child is a very special child. So the uncle, in order to console the child, uncle knows why the child is crying, because he's very special. And how to console, how to stop the child crying was that, you stupid boy, these things are not birds, these are leaves. Why this child was crying was thinking that these leaves are poor birds who are now trapped in the wind and being killed by the leaves. So he's feeling so pain by seeing that, thinking that these are the birds who are being suffering there because of the wind blowing. And whereas realizing that these are not the birds, these are just the leaves, the boy is so happy, relaxed, stop crying. So look, this young age, from where did he bring this compassion? From his mother, father? No. Even the parents could not display this intensity of love and affection, compassion towards others. This young child brought this from where? Past habit. So therefore, any virtues or non-virtues that we do, you are simultaneously accumulating karma, whose effects are concomitant with the karma pertaining to the habits. So therefore, it's so important that sometimes it's so difficult for us to break the habits. Very difficult to break the habits. Now, this life, while we encounter with the teaching of the Buddha, while we encounter with teaching on karma and so forth, it's so important with the bad habits that we have, see how to break them. Bad habits, when we engage in these bad habits, we get the feeling that I'm happy. In actuality, this is the greatest of the prison. When you realize that this is bad, for us, the habit of stealing, habit of killing, habit of sexual misconduct, habit of using harsh words, habit of telling lies, habit of idle gossip. Idle gossip? Singaporeans, I'm sure you don't have time for idle gossip. Yeah, Singaporeans, yeah, I would say, yeah. Okay, so what I'm saying is that these habits, once you realize that these are very bad habits and you want to undo, not at all difficult. You see, it's so difficult. You just easily slide down to the habits, easily slide down to the habits. Then you realize that this is a prison for me. How to break this habit? Okay, now this life, see how much we can break any bad habits that we have. Just see. Just see. For example, a first step that I would suggest, all of us, not just you, myself, is that should you be with your parents, if there is somehow bad habit of easily becoming angry and then shouting at the parents or showing anger towards the parents, try to stop that. Try to stop that. And if you feel that it's uncontrollable, go to your room, close the door and do a little bit of breathing. Don't react. Don't react, right? Say, even though you're about to say something bad and harsh towards your parents, father, mother, If it is bound to happen, mentally is already out. Physical and verbal is in your hands. That is in your hand. Mentally it's not really in your hand in the initial stage. Later on, it can be in your hands. So with physical and verbal, don't react. Instead, go to your room. Go to your room, sit down, and then just don't think in it. Just make everything blank from your mind. Just take a deep breath, like 21 times, deep breath. Meanwhile, don't ruminate over the incidents with your parents. Don't ruminate. Stop ruminating. Just blank. Keep everything, empty everything, and just take a deep breath. Just focus on the breath. Everything will automatically come out. Just take a deep breath for like 6-7 times. Then do like 21 times even. Then when the gross, very aggressive thoughts subside, then go back in time. Go back in time when you were age 3, when you were age 2. Then your mother, your father looking for, works to sustain you. Your mother always embracing you. The moment you cry, the mother is there, right? And nobody in this world would care for you. But your two parents are there to care for you. And nobody's there in this world to smile at you. Right? Oh, there's a toddler there. Right? But your mother smiles at you. Your father smiles at you. This all come out of the love. You have received the maximum love when you needed them. And now you're grown up. You should be giving love to them. And instead of giving love, you are giving them shouts. So this is where we should feel. You should go back in time. You do love your parents, no doubt. Not only you love your parents, there's intense love. And oftentimes, I said, even this shout coming out is all because the inside there's a love there. So this love, when you are unskilled, it comes in the form of shout. When it's skilled, it comes in the form of love. So, say, after taking deep breath for like 21 times, your gross aggression subsides, anger subsides. Then you go back in time when you were like 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. And then say when you were like age 1 to 1, you don't know what smile is, but your mother smiles at you. You don't know what the mother is talking, but still the mother talks to you. The mother knows that you don't understand anything, but still she's talking to you. Why? Because she's investing all her energy, time, energy, resources for you. Just reflect on these points. Then automatically your mind will, become soft and tender. Think more of that. Think more of that. Then you go out. And then say apologize. If you have shouted, apologize. Mom, I'm very sorry. Dad, I'm very sorry for that. And then promise, make a promise that in future I will not do that. Okay, this is very important to undo the habits. If you're able to practice this, this is the incredibly wonderful start. Charity begins at home. This incredible, wonderful start. From this, then the habit to do, to extend love and affection, to understand, this can be extended towards others easily. Whereas if you cannot start at home, no matter how kind you are outside, of course there is benefit, but the benefit that you get out of starting from the home, that is so pure. From there, if it proliferates, it's going to be so genuine, and then you practice this real hope for the expression of the bodhicitta and expression of wisdom emptiness. Okay. Okay, so there's another point which is very important. Okay, the next one that I'd like to share with you, because tomorrow I may need more time, is the abuse of the karma, which I talked yesterday. Abuse of the karma. So how the abuse of the karma is happening, and how to dispel this misconception pertaining to karma. This is so important. One, generally speaking, people say that, right? Even some people who are very genuine, very pious, and the devoted, and whatever things happen, it's because of karma, it's because of karma, because of karma. Okay. Then many intelligent people, when they hear you saying everything's karma, 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 then the intelligent people, they lose interest in what you are saying. So not only they lose interest in you, they also lose interest in the concept of karma. And then, in a way, you are pushing the other person, this intelligent person, from coming towards the Buddha's teaching. You are pushing him away because of your unskillfulness. Whereas if you know the concept of karma so well, intelligent people will come towards you. And intelligent people, we never know where they are born. Intelligent people can be born in a very rich family, poor family, educated, uneducated, within the Muslims, within the Buddhists, within the non-believers. He or she can be born anywhere. This is a reality. So with this, intelligent people have greater tendency, greater potential to be of greater service to the Dharma, generally speaking. So therefore, if you somehow incorporate, bring these intelligent people towards the teachings of Buddha, you are accumulating enormous karma to be of intelligibly serving the Dharma, because of which in your future lifetimes, you'll also born as a very intelligent young girl or young boy. So this is how the karmas affect our future lifetimes. So it's so important to include the intelligent people into the Dharma. To direct them into the Dharma is very precious. Okay, with this connection, this misconception, number one is even within those people who are pious, they always say that this is because of karma, this is because of karma, karma and so forth. And in some cases, do they really mean it? Do they really feel that? This question. Because once there was the gentleman and his daughter, and the gentleman is a believer of Creator God, and two of us, we were having a long discussion, and I was there, for a specific purpose. And the gentleman just started the talk by saying that in this world the best religion is Christianity. This is how he started. And I used to say, yes, yes, yes. If I say no, he'll say, get out. So I have to, yes, yes. Then I said, not only I said yes, yes, I even supported him by saying that, yes, look at the charity. Christianity is the best. Look at the health facilities, medical, Christianity best. Look at the education, Christianity best. Social service, Christianity best. He was so happy. Then he started saying that in this world, people are trying to intrude in the God's will. Intrude in God's will by doing things which the God did not design. So nobody can do that. He was saying that very strongly. And then he went down to say that so I supported him after about like one or two hours of sitting on the same bench for 2 hours. And then he started to feel a little comfortable with me. Then he started to speak heart, and not his intellectual or his belief, from his heart. Started to come out. He said that this girl, referring to the daughter, this girl is not getting married. I know. So I told him that it is so bad to intrude in the God's will. God doesn't want her to get married, and you are intruding in God's will. He said, buddy, she's my daughter. Look, now the discrepancy between his belief, not the real belief, the faith, and his real heart, these were different. According to his belief, nobody is supposed to intrude in God's will. Now he's saying that my daughter is not getting married. I said that this is because the God doesn't want her to get married, and you're intruding in God's will. He said, but she's my daughter. Look, this is a discrepancy. Likewise, people who say that it's karma, we're not too sure whether they really mean it or it's just a philosophical, or they hurt and mimicking others. Okay. So with this is the one thing. Then in worst cases, the real abuse of karma. So this one, the first case is where you are pushing away the intelligible people away from the dharma. Unintentionally, you say everything is karma, right? And then you blame everything on karma. Then the intelligent people, this is what you can easily do. Why you are not doing it yourself and blame on karma? So karma concept is just nonsense. Then they run away. And who taught this? Buddha taught. Okay, what the Buddha taught is something nonsense. So they run away from. You are pushing away the intelligible people away from the Buddha's teachings. This is a great disservice to the Dharma, although not intentionally. One. Now the worst thing is, saying the people, they want to be lazy. They don't want to. They want to go into indulgence. They don't want to, do good things. They do all the bad things. Okay, example that I gave you yesterday, that say the parents, they ask the children, okay, do good, don't be naughty, study well. And the children, they say, yes, I'll study well. Then, let's say, the exam, the child fails, because the child never studied. And the parents say, now look, you have failed. Dad, what you do is my karma to fail. Right? So then then that you also believe in karma? Yes. So but this is the effect of the karma. Then the father doesn't have anything to say, mother doesn't have anything to say. This is all because the father's concept of karma is very naive, and the child's concept of karma is very naive, to the extent that the child starts taking advantage of that, abusing it. Okay, now how to resolve this problem? How to resolve this problem, or what is the real understanding of the karma in this context? Is it not that the person failed? Is this the effect or not? Yes, it's the effect. Effect of the karma or not? Yes, it's the effect of karma. So therefore what this child said is correct? No, what the child said is not correct. Although this is the effect of karma, but the child cannot use this as an excuse. How not as an excuse? While this is reality, is that karma is of two kinds. Again, the classification karma. Two kinds. Definite karma and uncertain karma. Definite karma and uncertain karma. There are two karmas. And the karmas can operate. Multiple karmas can operate simultaneously. A definite karma means a very powerful karma. Positive or negative. Very powerful karma is known as definite karma. Uncertain karma is a weak karma. Weak karma is uncertain karma. Okay, let me give an example. Say that let's say that there are two trains. One is the proper train, very heavy train, which to stop, you have to stop the train from 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers ahead. Whereas the other train is like a toy train, but it's they're quite heavy. And then about say the 50 feet away from you or 100 feet away from you, there's a toddler there. And then these two trains, somehow they are passing by this, and the toddler is on the track. So this train, the big train, is already there. Now it's just a few meters away. So this big train is in the full swing. Can you stop it? You cannot stop it. You cannot jump to save the child also. The train is already here. Train is faster than you. You cannot stop it. Even the driver sees the child, he cannot do anything. Whereas the second train, the toy train, is moving, is right next to you. You have enough energy to stop this train. Right? Whereas if you let it go, it can crush the child. You're getting it? You see this? So this train, the big one, is the metaphor for the definite karmas. Very strong karmas, definite karmas. And the toy train, which you can, if you don't neglect, if you stop it, you can stop it. If you neglect it, it will crush the child. This is the metaphor for the weak karma or uncertain karma. Uncertain karma. Now what is happening is, if this child studied well, the child has both the karma. Karma to fail in the exam, karma to pass the exam. The child has both the karmas. Now when the child, instead of studying, going to pubs, and then just neglecting studies at all, with this, this action is stopping the ripening of the virtuous karma for him to pass. And it is opening the door to ripen the negative karma of failing. That is done. Whereas if the child studied well, the way the father advised, because both the karmas, they are not the strong karma, they are not the definite karma, they are weak karmas, uncertain karma. So the uncertain karma of failing the exam can easily be stopped, stopped by studying well. Studying well will stop the ripening of the negative karma to fail the exam. Instead, will activate the seed of passing the exam. Okay, this can happen. Whereas, say, can we have examples of a very definite karma of failing the exam? Definite karma of failing the exam. Do we have some examples? Answer is yes. For example, the parents tell the child, study well, otherwise you will fail. And the child is not only very brilliant, the child, he or she studies so well for the last few months, studies so well. And to the extent that the child is now not only competent, the child has the confidence to be the topper in the class. So with this, tomorrow is the exam, and today the child becomes sick. Today the child becomes terrible sick, suffering from flu, like fever, like the 103 degree Fahrenheit fever. Impossible to sit for the exam. It's not because of negligence of the child, it's because of the very definite karma ripening now. This example. If this is the situation, then finally the child does not pass. Then if somebody says, why did you not pass the pass exam? Why did you not sit for exam? Because of my karma. That's true. Because of my karma, when you say because of my karma, it should be the definite karma. And definite karma, you can blame the karma. With the uncertain karma, you cannot blame the karma. Because uncertain karma, you can intrude in it very effectively. Okay, this is, if you understand in this concept, that all effects that you are experiencing, they are the results of karma. But what karma? Definite or uncertain? Definite karmas, we cannot really, we can change them. But to change them requires a tremendous energy. To change the course of this fast-moving, heavy train, it can be changed, but to change this is almost next to the impossibility. Meaning that it requires a tremendous force, which is directly opposition with this amount of the energy, which is very unlikely. But it is not really impossible. It is possible, but the chance for the possibility is very narrow. Okay, whereas with the uncertain karma, we can easily change it. We can easily change the course of the uncertain karma. Okay, so when somebody blames the karma for all his or her negligence, then you can say that this is not because of karma, because of your negligence. If you want to blame the karma, it should be the definite karma, not the uncertain karma. In your case, it was the uncertain karma that you're blaming at. This is very unfair. Okay, this is what... Okay, so we'll stop here. And 6, right? 6:30. Okay, 6:30 we have, yeah. Still we have time. Okay, so then we will do another point, which is very important. Okay, how many of you are interested in this topic, free will? Free will versus determinism. How many of you are aware of this debate? Raise your hands. Okay, how many of you are not aware of this debate? Okay, lucky. If you're not aware of this, you are not now becoming aware of it. Okay, this is a very complicated topic. Karma. The moment we talk about karma, unless until we know this concept so well, we will end up in a contradiction of not having to accept free will. The karma, the moment you go into accepting karma, in a way you are, you are rejecting free will. In a way meaning, okay, in a very loose sense. Whereas, if you accept the karma and you give up the free will concept, it contradicts with many of the functional world phenomena, functional world. It contradicts with many concepts of the functional world, the operational world. It contradicts with these things. So what happened? Why this concept of karma, if we don't know it so thoroughly and talks about karma all the time, why we are pushing particularly the brilliant people away from you? I'll give you one example. One of my teachers who was the Geshe colleague of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and who later became the chief abbot of Gamu Monastery and Losing Monastery, chief abbot, and highly realized and a great practitioner and an incredibly great scholar, philosopher, logician. And he passed away already. He had one student in America, a lady, and of course he teaches so widely in the monastery, and this lady somehow was connected. And then the lady's husband was a scientist, physicist. And the lady's husband, the lady was so pushy, always pushing the husband to become a Buddhist. And the husband, not eager to become, not interested. And she was pushing so hard. One day the husband said, yes, I'll become a Buddhist, provided you give me one answer. I have a question. If you can give the answer to this question, I'll become a Buddhist right away. She was so happy. Okay, now finally, I'm able to make my husband a Buddhist. So she is waiting for the question. She thinks that Buddhism is my area, I can give answers. So he's a scientist, he has no clue about Buddhism. Then she asked, now what is your question? He said, Buddhism accepts law of karma. She said, yes. If you accept law of karma, where is the room for free will? Give me this answer. The moment I get this answer, correct answer, the precise answer, I'll become Buddhist. She did not answer. So she sent a message to the teacher. Sir, my husband, like this is he is asking for, he wants to become a Buddhist. If he can get this answer, this is a question. I read it. So I was the one who was serving as secretary to my teacher. I read it, and the question is so good. Even I don't have the answer. Right? Now it's a great opportunity. My teacher, he's the Geshe colleague of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, renowned logician, philosopher. Wow, it's a great opportunity for me. Then I printed out the question with great excitement when I went to teacher. That now I'm going to get the answer to this question. Okay, the question we have to know the question so well. The question is that if you accept law of karma means what is happening today is because of the previous karma. And that previous karma is because of the previous karma. Like this. Today, what we are doing here, we don't have any choice. For example, say, some of you are touching your nose like this. Some of you are scratching your head like this. Some of you are sitting like this, sitting like this. This is all because of the previous karmas. Right? Previous karmas. You don't have any choice. Everything, the fact that you come to TBC is because of your previous karma. The fact that even though you like to go out, you cannot go out is because of the previous karma. Right? Previous karma. And some of you might have some burning questions inside you. Even though you want to ask this question, you cannot ask this question because I'm talking. That's because of the previous karma. Like this, you will see that every movement is determined by the previous actions. Which means that we are left with no room for free will. If that is the case, then all these ethical issues come into being. Ethical issues, serious ethical issues come to being. For example, say somebody is convicted for murder. There, if you can somehow convince the judge that I did it because somebody forced me to do it. Somebody, my boss, forced me to do that. If you're able to convince the judge of this, the penalty will be much milder, much milder. Whereas, if you cannot prove that, if the judge gets the feeling that you do it through your own will meaning free will, you'll get the full penalty. Okay, so there, if you do with your free will, you get the full penalty. If you did it by the force, under the force somebody, you will be exempted from the severity of the penalty. So this is the legal issue. Whereas if everything is governed by the earlier causes, then I'm not responsible for this action. I'm not responsible for this action of the murder. So just as you spare the other person, you should also spare me, because I did it because of the previous karmas. Right? So all these issues are there. So if you accept the law of karma, you have to, in a way, you are left with no free will. You end up in predeterminism. Everything is determined, predeterminism. If you accept determinism, finish, no free will. So how do you reconcile these things? How do you reconcile this? In Buddhism, whether or not there's free will, this is the question. Right? Okay. Then I went with this question. With great excitement, I'm going to learn this from my teacher. Printed the question. I went to the teacher and I said that this question from the student, this. I read it, and my teacher closed her eyes like this. Now I was so excited. Now I already passed the question to him, and I was expecting to reply from him. Wow, it's so great opportunity for me. Then he said, what reply he gave? Imagine what he said. Okay, Dorji, give some answers. That's the answer. Dorji, give some answers. This answer that he gave from him, right? Okay, I didn't get the answer from him. Okay, so now the question is, so this concept is tied with many important concepts. One is the free will versus predeterminism. Other one is with the rebirth concept. Rebirth, whether or not rebirth is possible, whether or not rebirth exists. Rationally speaking, whether or not rebirth exists is also tied with this concept. Then about the distinction between the plants and animals. The plants, whether or not they are animals. Again, this is also tied to this concept. So with this, so many important concepts are all tied to this basic principle of the karma. Okay, with this, continue tomorrow. We have 15 minutes, question answers, better. Okay, so we'll continue this tomorrow, right? So what are the things? One is about how the karma versus the free will, number one. Number two, karma with the rebirth. Rebirth part I'll not do tomorrow because it's going to be a very heated discussion, right? I'll become hot. Yeah, this is something which we really need to the tremendous pressure is there when talking about this concept, the rebirth. Okay.
Next year, Pramana Vatika talk about rebirth. Tell them.
Not really. No, Pramana Vatika next half, second half, it does not do rebirth. It's more about nirvana, then the Buddhahood, and the Four Noble Truths, how rationally we understand the. Okay, by the way, just for information, that this year what we did was we did the first half of the Pramana Vartika chapter 2, which is very, very, very precious. And if you are to feel that the Buddha's teachings, I really want to see how efficacious this Buddha's teaching is, we have to study the Pramana Vartika chapter 2. Pramana Vartika chapter 2 has two sections, first and second. The first one is precisely with the rebirth concept. Second one is about how all the Four Noble Truths, usually say in a class, if somebody is to teach you Four Noble Truths, okay, Four Noble Truths, truth of suffering, then what? Hey, Four Noble Truths, truth of suffering, then truth of cause of suffering, truth of cessation suffering. Just enumerate them. And what is the truth of suffering? Again, it has three parts. Just very simply taught. Now, this pramana vartika there, it is rationally being explained. Rationally. Not just, enumerated, okay, these things are there. Not like this. Rationally being convinced as to how the Four Noble Truths, they are really, really feasible. They are tenable. How the Four Noble Truths are possible on the basis of rational reasoning. And about the enlightenment. How is enlightenment rationally? How can we be convinced of the enlightenment, nirvana, all these concepts? Okay, this is a very precious concept, a precious text. And the point is that we did the first half, and the first half and the second half. Of course, if you have the first half, then the second half is going to be very easy for you. Still, the second half is not really directly linked with the first half. Second half can be studied independently, which means that anybody, even though you did not attend the first half, you still can attend the second half. And for the second half, if you really want to take part in the second half, if you want to enjoy, partake in the full benefit of the second half, then I would suggest you to listen to the recordings of the first half before you come to the second half retreat. Okay, that would greatly benefit. Even if you do not get the opportunity to listen to the first half, still with the second half you will get a lot from the second half. It's not that if you miss the first part, the second half will be unrelated. This is not the case. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Yes. Lin Chulam, through the mic.
Geshe, I just want to be clearer
Sit.
about the 5 ever-present mental factors.
Yes.
The way you have explained it to us implies that they must always be sequential. Of course, rapidly, it can be nanoseconds, but it's always sequential. It's not necessarily, randomly altogether. Is that correct?
Okay, this is a technically very serious question. Okay, so what I said is 5 ever-present mental factors. In many translators use as 5 omnipresent mental factors. These should be the same. Meaning that any mind, in a very loose sense, any mind that we have, any mind, sensory mind like your visual, seeing the flower, or the sound, hearing the traffic, or not hearing the traffic, or the smell, the taste, the tongue, and the mental, any mind that you can imagine, this mind must have these 5 functions. 5 functions. Okay, so because of these 5 functions, we ascribe 5 mental factors. And these 5 are known as omnipresent. So technically speaking, say, if you speak about the first moment of the mind, how I explained the 5 ever-present mental factors, how I explained, first was contact. During the contact, at the time of contact, is there a mind or not? Yes, there is a mind. So this mind, we said that any mind should necessarily have these 5. So even with the contact, how I explained contact, the 5 should be there. If the 5 are not there, then these 5 are not the ever-present mental factors. You can think of a mind where only the contact is there and the remaining 4 are not there. So the point is, technically speaking, these 5 should be always there with any moment of the mind. Always there, never sequential. Then if they are not sequential, I explain them as so sequential because I want you to remember things, these 5 ever-present mental factors very easily. And how can we remember them? One, to remember them. Number 2, to make sense of these 5 ever-present mental factors. Make sense. Make sense? Only if I explain in this form, it makes sense to you. First, we come in contact with the object. And then you pay attention to this. Yes. By paying attention, then you will discern that, okay, this is flower, discrimination. With this discrimination, then a very pleasant feeling comes in you. With a pleasant feeling, then intention to have it. It's very sensible. It's very sensible. Okay, so with this, we see that, okay, these 5 functions are so important. Okay, so how I explained is not in a causal form. It is, there's a sequence there. I give the sequence. This sequence is sequence in terms of the explanation. Why I explain, I have to explain the first one first. Content. I don't have the capacity to use all the 5 words simultaneously. Right? I have to use, in any ways, I have to use these sequentially. So how I set the sequence is the way it makes sense to us. Right? Just for that reason. Technically speaking, these 5 operate simultaneously. Yeah. Yes. And then meanwhile, to make the more sense, let's say that the mental consciousness, there are 5 moments of the mental consciousness. The first moment of mental consciousness, all the 5 are operating. All the 5 are operating. Of the 5, the contact is most active. Remaining 4 are not so active, but are simultaneously operating. Then with the second, the contact and the attention are most active. Others are operating, but not as active. They're simultaneous. Then third time, discrimination, the first 3 becomes very active, and the remaining 2 are not as active. Then the next moment, feelings, the first 4 becomes very active, right? So they're all simultaneously operating. It's a matter of the, say the, what do you call it? Intensity of the activation of the particular function. Very good question. Thank you. Yes, over there.
Geshe, what about point blank staring at the flower?
Say it again.
Point blank staring at the flower. That means you just stare at the flower, okay, but you don't generate any intention.
Just a blank
staring at the flower.
Okay. So what's the question?
So is there 5 omnipresent mental factors?
Okay, this is a good question. Wow. Okay, you just say, for example, you just stare at the flower and your mind is distracted to something else. Just stare at it.
It can just be like...
Or just be like this, okay. Just stare at it, right? Okay, whether or not the 5 mental factors, they're active, they're being active. Answer is yes. They are operating, but very inactively. They do operate, but very inactively. Yeah. Any more questions? Yes.
Geshe, are the 5 omnipresent factors again? So it seems as though discrimination is the trigger point. And you mentioned that all 5 have to operate simultaneously. So sometimes if we're conditioned to something, the intention comes first, right? So it may not be any discrimination. It's already conditioned.
Can you give me an example? That's the best.
So, okay, so I'll venture into politics. So,
okay, be careful.
If I don't like one particular party,
okay,
everything they say is not right.
Not right, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so if that's...
No. So instead of parties, let's say if you don't like me, right, rather than parties, keep that aside. If you don't like me, if I put a flower down, why is he putting the flower? There's a vase there, why is he not putting the vase? Right? If I don't put in the vase, there's a problem. Why is he mixing the 2 flowers? The real flower and the fake flower.
Everything is a problem.
Right?
Yes. So the intention is very bad already.
So the moment you dislike something, everything the person does is wrong. Yes, so what's the question?
So the question is, to decondition that and to not generate the karma means to have, the person has to be rewired some way.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say, okay, your question is very important. Let's say there's the Singapore is operating as a nation. Within Singapore, then we see that there are the various ethnicities, religions operating. Within these religious groups, then there are the families operating. Within the families, then the persons operating. Within the person, then the cells, the body organs are operating. Within the organs, we have cells operating. Right? Within the cells, then the molecules operating. Within the molecules, then the system known as atom is operating. Within the atom, then the nucleus is operating. Right? We see that it's like there's a whole gamut of the reality operating there on a large scale, which is further constituted a smaller scale, the system being operating. Okay, so with this, the point is that, say, I dislike person A. So already there's a system operating, whole system operating, all the 5 are operating there. Within that, I dislike. Now this whole system, where all the 5 are operating, all the 5 mental functions are operating, this system serves as a cause for me to not to like anything the person does. So within that, there are all the 5 intact. Not only that, the intentions there, then the remaining discrimination comes. No, within that, there's a whole system there within. You're getting it? And this triggers another sort of system, just liking anything other person does, any other person says. So this is how we have to look at things.
So it's like a domino effect.
Sorry?
So it's like a domino trigger.
What do you call it?
A domino effect. One sets off a catalyst.
Affecting the... Yeah. Oh, I learned this from you, domino effect. Thank you.
So Geshe, if you actually talk about the 5 omnipresent factors that have to be present, so contact is one of them, intention is one of them, discrimination is one of them. So the idea of, in olden days where the monks would go into retreat, minimize contact, retrain discrimination, have pure intentions, that would be a way to minimize karma?
Okay, we don't have to minimize karma. We have to minimize the negative karmas, increase the positive karmas, right? So the idea is, let's say that, okay, it's not just the monks, all of us, we should think of that. Say that, we all have to grow. We all have to grow. Finally, becoming monk, becoming a lay devotee, whatever, is for us to achieve what? There's a goal, there should be a goal. There should be a goal. What's the goal? Finally, what's the final goal? Fearlessness and infinite happiness. This is what everybody's seeking. Right? So now, okay, let us not just think of, okay, this one group of people there who are so devoted to this. I want fearlessness. I want infinite happiness. Start from there. And then they also, why they are very different? It's because they are fully dedicated to accomplishing these 2 goals. Whereas in the lay audience, generally speaking, in some cases, some of the lay audience, their practices are much more intense than the monastics. There are cases, for example, Vimalakirti, the great bodhisattva, the lay bodhisattva, his realizations are just transcendental, so highly realized. Okay, so exceptions are there. Generally speaking, the lay audience should not think of everybody to be like Bodhisattva Vimalakirti. We cannot think of like that. So we have to think of ourselves. Okay, I also want, why they are so unique? Because, why? Because they want fearlessness and they want, I'm not different from them. So I have to also do something like this. So the purpose is why? Why they are secluded? They are fencing themselves. Why do you have to fence? If you don't fence, then the sapling, very beautiful sapling. Say in Singapore, any beautiful fruits or delicious fruits growing?
Durian fruits.
No. Okay, Singapore does not have department for agriculture, right?
Fruits, but maybe orchids.
Huh?
Orchids. Flowers.
No, I'm talking about the fruits. All right. Okay, so what I'm saying is same. Let's say that there is, say, in India, there is the mango, which is so unique, known as Alfonso mango. Alfonso mango? No, in India. Okay. Pakistan might have. In India, this is very famous. So Alfonso mango grows from the Alfonso mango trees, and the trees grow from the sapling. As a sapling says that, oh, I'm the Alfonso mango sapling, all the cows come, I'll help you, cows will eat you up, and no mango trees will grow. So therefore, as a sapling, you should know that you are a sapling, you are not a mango tree. You have to fence it. You have to fence it. Once fenced, don't stay small, keep growing. Once grown, don't keep the fence anymore. The purpose of you to grow into Alfonso mango tree, is to give fruits to the people, give shades to the people and the animals, right? Remove the fence. So this is the various phases of one's life. Likewise, just as monastics, even the lay person, we should also think of the same thing. Okay, so where I found what I want is fearlessness and infinite happiness. How to achieve that is within me already there. But I don't manifest these two things because they are defiled by the mental soil. Just as gold is defiled, the gold, why it is not glowing is because of mixed with the soil. So if you remove the soil, remove the mental defilements. How do you remove the mental defilements? Initially, I'm so weak. Because I'm so weak, I cannot remove them. I'm so weak, I should be fenced. So even for the lay practitioners, lay devotees, you should think of getting away from the wrong people. Be with the like-minded Sangha. That is very important. So important, number one. Then meanwhile, then you have to grow inside. Grow with the studies, reflection, and so forth. So this fencing. Fencing is not to stop the karmas, it's to stop the negative karmas. Negative karmas. Meanwhile, grow your positive karmas. Okay.